Strict religious boarding schools are known for their isolating environments, but sometimes the rigid rules are meant to protect the students from something far more sinister than bad behavior. Decades ago, when a woman named Fatima was in high school, her parents traveled constantly for work. Unable to leave her home alone, they enrolled her in a strict Catholic boarding school located in the historic city of Campeche, Mexico. The convent was an imposing, centuries-old stone structure. While some of the teaching sisters were kind, the Mother Superior ruled the grounds with an iron fist. Punishments were severe, and the girls lived in a constant state of disciplined fear. Fatima formed a tight-knit group with 3 other girls, Erica, Sofia, and Rocio. Rocio was the rebel of the group. Exhausted by the suffocating routine, she would often convince the girls to sneak out of their dormitory late at night. Their favorite spot to hide was the far corner of the back patio, right next to an old decaying building that had been abandoned for years. It was completely isolated from the main dormitories. No one ever went back there. One night, the 4 girls were sitting in the dark near the abandoned building, quietly laughing and sharing a few beers that Rocio's older sister had smuggled in. Suddenly, Sofia stopped laughing. The smile vanished from her face. She stared completely frozen at the second floor of the dark, abandoned building. "Do you guys see her?" Sofia whispered, her voice trembling. Fatima and the others turned to look. Illuminated only by the pale moonlight, a figure was standing motionless behind the dirty glass of a second-story window. It was a nun. But there was something deeply wrong with her face. Her eyes were wide open, wildly exalted and unblinking. But the most horrifying detail was her smile. It was a massive, unnaturally wide, forced grin that stretched across her face, as if she was putting immense physical effort into smiling. Yet, despite the grin, the heavy energy radiating from her felt like pure, unadulterated rage. Terrified that they had been caught breaking the rules and drinking, the girls abandoned their bottles and sprinted blindly back to their dormitories, waiting for the inevitable punishment and expulsion the next morning. But the next day, nothing happened. No one was called to the Mother Superior's office. The day went on as if they had never been seen. A few weeks passed. Convinced that whichever sister had seen them had simply decided to let it go, Rocio convinced the girls to sneak out to the back patio again. This time, the atmosphere felt entirely different. The night air was unnaturally freezing. A heavy, suffocating sense of dread hung over the dark courtyard. Fatima felt constant chills running down her spine. As they stood there, a loud, violent slam echoed from inside the abandoned building. It sounded like a heavy wooden door being violently shut. Fatima wanted to run, but Erica suggested they go inside to see if an animal had gotten trapped. Against her better judgment, Fatima followed the girls to the back entrance. They slowly pushed the heavy, rotting wooden door open. The interior was pitch black, illuminated only by the faint ambient light from outside. The air inside smelled putrid, a sickening mix of rotting wood, dead insects, and foul decay. They crept up the loudly creaking wooden stairs to the second floor, where the noise had come from. They entered a large, dirty room filled with rusted bed frames. It had clearly been a nun's bedroom at some point. Old rosaries and crucifixes were scattered across the decaying furniture, but as Fatima's eyes adjusted to the dark, she noticed something deeply disturbing. The crucifixes on the walls weren't traditional. They were twisted, misshapen figures. And all across the peeling wallpaper, strange demonic symbols and words in an unrecognizable language had been furiously carved into the plaster. This was the exact room where the smiling nun had been standing. Fatima's panic peaked. Rocio and Sofia decided to walk back down the hall to explore the lower level, while Fatima and Erica stayed near the staircase, too terrified to move. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echoed from the dark end of the second-floor hallway. Thinking it was their friends, Fatima and Erica peered into the pitch-black corridor. Standing at the very end of the hall, shrouded in the darkness, was the silhouette of a nun. Even in the shadows, Fatima could see it. It was the exact same face, the massive, unnatural, terrifying smile, the wide, dead eyes. She wasn't moving. She was just standing there, staring directly at them, radiating a wave of negative, heavy energy that felt physically crushing. Fatima's survival instincts finally kicked in. She grabbed Erica by the arm and they sprinted down the stairs, screaming for their friends. All four girls bolted out of the abandoned building and ran frantically across the courtyard. They almost crashed directly into one of the older, kinder sisters who was walking the grounds. Seeing the sheer, unadulterated terror on the girls' faces, the older nun didn't yell at them for being out of bed. When Erica hysterically blurted out that they had gone inside the abandoned building and seen a smiling nun, the older sister's face turned ghostly pale. She quickly escorted the girls back to their room, locked the door, and told them a horrifying secret. She explained that nearly 40 years ago, that building was the main dormitory. A sister named Carmen lived in that exact room. Sister Carmen was a recluse. She never spoke, never ate with the others, and spent all her time writing furiously in private. One night, the other nuns were awakened by horrific sounds coming from Carmen's locked room. It sounded like the squealing of slaughtered pigs and goats, mixed with deep, demonic, echoing laughter and chanting in a language no one could understand. The sisters gathered in the hallway, praying furiously with their rosaries while the Mother Superior retrieved the master key. When they finally forced the door open, the demonic laughter stopped. Sister Carmen was hanging by her neck from the ceiling of her closet, dead. But it wasn't just a suicide. Drawn across the wooden floorboards in fresh blood was a massive pentagram, surrounded by melted black candles. Sitting in the center of the pentagram was a heavy, open book of dark occultism. Sister Carmen had been performing satanic rituals in her room every night, and that evening, whatever she had summoned finally took control. After her death, the room was abandoned. But the horrors didn't stop. The remaining sisters constantly heard heavy footsteps and macabre laughter echoing from the room at night. Eventually, the entire building was evacuated and condemned. The older nun looked at Fatima with tears in her eyes. She confessed that years ago, she too had gone into that building for a glass of water. She had seen the same entity, the huge black empty eyes and the massive devilish smile. "I knew immediately," the older nun whispered. "That wasn't Sister Carmen. Whatever is wearing her face is not human." The older nun warned them that the entity was pure evil, and they were lucky to have escaped with their lives. Fatima and Erica were so traumatized that they called their parents that very night, begging to be taken home. Their parents arrived the next morning and pulled them out of the convent forever. Today, the old boarding school in Campeche has been demolished, replaced by modern government offices. But for Fatima, the terror has never truly ended. Even now, nearly 40 years later, when she lies in the dark, she sometimes opens her eyes to see that same massive, terrifying smile watching her from the dark corner of her bedroom.